I'm Jonathan Colopy, an executive director with the Y of San Diego County, and this is the Y Be Well podcast. Today, our guest is Natalie Schneck. Natalie, thank you for being with us. Natalie is the Vice President of Marketing for Sports San Diego. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's great to be here.
I wonder if people don't know what Sports San Diego is, if you could just start with that, just explain who and what your organization is.
Absolutely. So, Sports San Diego is a local nonprofit here to San Diego. So, we have the purpose to drive visitor demand to economically benefit the San Diego region through producing sports tourism events. So, we produce the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, the Rady Children's Invitational, the California State Games, and then we also serve as our region's sports commission, which is to say we help bring in sports events from out of town and host them in our city.
Well, your organization is involved in a lot of different things, and we'll drill down to that in just a moment. But I do want to share that we're going to focus on the Cal State Games and really what the opportunity is for all of us that are listening. But you're involved with the Holiday Bowl that has such standing and esteem in our community. Rady Children's Invitation, I believe that is a more recent college tournament. So if you share a little bit about these different events that you've been involved with.
Absolutely. So the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, that's been going on since 1978. That happens at the end of December. It's a matchup between an ACC and a Pac-12 school. And that happens. It's really an incredible event. It's been going on for quite some time. The Rady Children's Invitational happens at UC San Diego at Lion Tree Arena. Now, that is a 2-day men's collegiate basketball tournament. And that takes place Thanksgiving Day and the day after. The inaugural year was last year, and it was a phenomenal experience. Day 2 was sold out, absolutely electric in there. And then, of course, the California State Games.
Yes, I would just say the Rady Children's Invitational got my attention. So for a first year event, you guys are doing your work in terms of promoting, because I heard a lot of buzz in the town about it and very successful. So thank you for doing that. So the California State Games, what exactly is this?
Yes, absolutely. So the California State Games, it's a nonprofit as well, and it has a mission to promote and nurture the health, education, and competitive spirit of residents of California by managing a quality amateur sports event that encourages participation and provides an Olympic experience. So in essence, this is a sports event festival of 20 plus sports over the course of winter and summer games. So in the winter time, we have roughly 4 to 5 sports. And in the summertime, we have about 20 plus sports, depending on the year. And that ranges anything from archery to figure skating, badminton, pickleball, you name it.
Wow, that's incredible. And so this year is a very unique opportunity from what I understand.
It is. So the California State Games, a few years back, bid on and earned the ability to host the State Games of America, presented by National University. Now, the California State Games are part of a bigger body called the National Congress of State Games. So there's roughly 30 other states that do just what we do. They host a series of sports events for their residents of their state. Now, every 2 years, so it's a biennial event, the medalists from other states of all these National Congress of State Games are invited to compete in the State Games of America. And it's hosted by a different state every 2 years. So 2024 is California State Games year. So not only will we be welcoming back and welcoming new California residents to our, sports events, we'll also be welcoming those medalists from other states in the National Congress of State Games events to our city.
Wow, that's incredible. That's exciting. Sounds very competitive. I love sports competition. And yet, as you say that, we're talking about national caliber. Tell me a little bit about the level of competition.
This is my favorite part about the California State Games and probably the National Congress of State Games in general. Absolutely. There is a space for every level of skill and ability. So whether you have just started off at, let's say, a YMCA sports event or a sports camp, and this is your first year and you want to try your hand at skateboarding, if you're brand new, you are welcome. If you're a California resident, you do not have to qualify. You are automatically eligible as long as your sport is offered. There are a few exceptions with a few team sports, which can be, learned about on the website. But for the most part, if you're a California resident, you're welcome to come. And of course, this year there will be added competition with those State Games of America entries, but you're going to see folks from levels of novice to advanced. And that's the best thing about this, is that it's kind of an all-encompassing event.
Wow, that's encouraging because it sounded intimidating, but I love the whole spirit of competition in a welcoming environment like that. And really, at a time when often there is a lot of discourse in the world, to be able to bring the country together under the opportunity for competition like this, athletics, is really wonderful.
I agree, and I think about I even think about myself as a young athlete when I was growing up. You know, I was an all. I think like a lot of kids, I was an all around athlete. I did sports all year. I was never going to a junior national event. I was never kind of advancing too much, but I was athletic. So had I been exposed to a state games, or of any state I grew up in, that would have been perfect for somebody like me who loves to compete, likes the sport, but might not be going to other competitive events. Now, that being said, plenty of other athletes who are going to other competitive events are also coming to ours. But again, that's my favorite thing about this event, is that all levels are welcome.
So this particular opportunity for the State Games of America coming together with the California State Games, I know the Y is involved. So if you'll share a little bit about that.
Yeah, and we are thrilled to have the Y involved. It was very, very exciting for us. So we're hosting our skateboarding event at Magdalena Ecke Y. That's right. And for folks who don't know, about the Ys, it just has phenomenal, skateboarding camps and stuff. I've been able to experience that with my niece. She's gone to them for years. They're phenomenal. So we're really excited to be hosting our skateboarding event July 20th to the 21st at the Magdalena Ecke Family YMCA Skate Park.
Very exciting. So is there opportunities to view this as well as compete?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the best part about it, is that, parents, families, anybody who wants to watch, you can absolutely come and check it out. And then there's still opportunity to, of course, register. If you're a kiddo, or if you're somebody listening who wants to compete, you can absolutely still register.
I heard something interesting, and you'll have to verify this. There is something like an opening ceremony that brings all the different states together. What's that about?
It's very cool. So thank you for mentioning the opening ceremonies presented by Kaiser Permanente. So the opening ceremonies are our way of basically welcoming athletes. We do it every year. This year will be even just more fantastic, given folks coming from out of state. At Pachanga Arena on July 19th, we welcome athletes, coaches, parents alike to our athlete fun zone. It's a great place for athletes to come together, mingle with each other, do some fun activations. And then the real show is the athlete parade. Now, typically in a
So
non-state games,
cool.
yeah, it's so cool. Then they get to kind of march into the actual arena. Um, Typically, it's by sport for California, but this year, given that it's the State Games of America, we're going to do it by state, and you'll have flag bearers. People get to march in, very ceremonial, and then we have a ceremonial torch lighting, which is also very cool, pretty goosebumps inducing, and we'll have a couple of Olympians actually speaking at our opening ceremonies this year as well.
Natalie, this is so exciting, really on the cusp of the Olympics as well. And so this is really exciting to see this coming forward. How
Yeah.
many states are involved, and overall, how many participants would you estimate?
Sure. So last year, when it's just the California State Games, typical summer year, we have about 8,000 athletes across our 20 plus sports. So we're expecting around 10,000 total athletes across all sports. It's exciting. And it's great too, because we still have registrations rolling in. Some sports are closed currently, but many are still open. Track and field, skateboarding. So other ones are still open. So that's how many we're expecting to come in.
So I'm just thinking about the economic impact. When you talk about what Sports San Diego does, bringing 10,000 athletes and their families together, and just what that'll infuse into the economy, which allows us to do more in giving back to our communities. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and that was why it made a lot of sense for Sports San Diego to ultimately assume management of the California State Games. Last year, they had a phenomenal executive director for 35 years, Sandy Hill. She started the California State Games after 35 years, retired, and then it was a natural transition to come under the Sports San Diego umbrella. And just as you said, Jonathan, it's just an opportunity to help exert more of that positive economic impact on our region.
So those listening, how would they know if they what division, what category? How did they get a sense of who can compete and in what?
Absolutely. So one thing I would say is for any specific questions, we are on our phones and our emails at all times, especially this time of year. So if there's particular specific questions, the info at calstategames.org is always a direct lifeline to us. Now, if you were to visit, we've got two websites we're managing for that this year. It's all going to the same place. Stategamesofamerica.com is going to be that primary website because that's going to have all of the information. Calstategames.org is also the website that you can go to. Both will navigate you to your sport. It'll navigate you to the right place.
So this is coming up in the next handful of days.
Yep, it sure is.
Wow, this
Yeah.
is really exciting. I will definitely check it out. I heard something about a master's division.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. But, while our event does skew youth, and we love that because that's creating opportunities for youth to compete in a healthy and nurturing environment is number one for us. That being said, we still have masters divisions. So track and field, we have, divisions, young to 18, and then we have masters. Wrestling has a masters division. Pickleball at Barnes, tennis center, that's going to be majority adult. Badminton and swimming also have adult competition opportunities. So, if you're someone who just really loves your sport and you want to try your hand out with some of your buddies or folks you play with, you give us a shot.
One of the things I like about what you just shared is families can compete. I mean, the whole family could get involved in some capacity.
I know for sure we have some track and field families where the children are signed up in their events and then the parents are signed up as well. And that right there is a snapshot of why we do what we do. It's a whole family involvement for our community.
So Natalie, for the future, if I'm not trained up for this year, what's the next event that comes out? Is there a winter games and
Yes, for sure. Like ice hockey, for example, is not being held in the summer. But yes, so we typically have our winter sports. Gymnastics is one of those as well, which is actually also hosted at the YMCA.
yes.
So that was a phenomenal event this past year. If I can just kind of give YMCA their roses, they did a
Yeah.
phenomenal job.
Please do. Thank
Yes,
you.
and you got a great gymnastics program as
We
well.
do.
So I would say definitely get on our mailing list. Like we will not bug you, but it's a great opportunity to kind of stay involved. And you can just get on that for the calstategames.org website. You can also follow us, our handle on Instagram. That's where we're most active is at Cal State Games. But the next winter games, to answer your question, they take place from February to March. And that's just by sport and by availability.
This is really wonderful. So excited to see this come forward. Appreciate the work that Sports San Diego has done in bringing this and other events to our community. Any teasers about what may be coming next for Sports San Diego? Any other events that we are on the horizon? You can say on the
Ooh.
YB Well podcast.
Oh, and the why they get first look on YB Well. I know we already mentioned the Rady Children's Invitational, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to tell you that the teams are already public, but if I can just say the teams, because I'm sure we got a lot of alumni out here.
Yeah.
The 2024 field is NC State, Ole Miss, Purdue, and BYU. And one of the very cool things about that is Purdue and NC State were both in the Final Four this past year. And so these are things. This is the best thing about sports is these are things you can't predict all the time. And so we're very excited. I think that's a fun little nugget.
Huge,
Yeah, that we're excited.
huge. That's a huge collection that is coming forward.
Yeah.
Really excited for that. So one thing that we do with every guest that is on YB Well, we ask them because YB Well is really about fostering a lifestyle of well-being. So we ask each guest that comes on if there's a particular practice that is critical to their well-being, if they would share that with us because we like to learn from each other. So
Oh, that is a great question. Well, with my first career, I was a personal trainer. And I don't think I even shared that with you. And I,
no.
my academic background is in it. My MS is in human nutrition. And so I've spent quite some time probably chasing down that question. And I would say the number one thing I would say is that movement is nourishment. I think sometimes we overemphasize having to get this workout done this way or squat this amount or do this or do that. And I always encouraged my clients and now myself, years removed from that part of my job, that this is ultimately a thank you to your body. Movement is a thank you. It's a form of gratitude to yourself and to your presence here on Earth. So
I,
that's
I love that. I'm gonna hold on to movement as nourishment because I think how as we go throughout life, how important movement is for us. That the ability to have mobility. So
yes.
thank you for that. Natalie, anything in closing?
I'm very grateful for the YMCA's support of Sports San Diego and the California State Games. I just love this ability for all of our organizations that are aligned in kind of bringing, well-being and wellness to our San Diego community. So my parting thought, listen, I wouldn't be the head of marketing if I didn't say it, is please visit the
Yeah.
stategamesofamerica.com or calstategames.org if you're interested and want to learn more.
Well, I appreciate what Sports San Diego is doing in terms of bringing through well-being through recreation and competition in sports. So thank you, Natalie. Really a pleasure to have this time with you. I know the whole Cal State Games is going to be extremely successful, and excited to take a look at what's going on there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brian, Jonathan. I'm so sorry, Jonathan. I really appreciate your time.
You are very welcome. Have a great day. And to all our guests, thank you for being with us here today. And until we're together again, please be well.